Kia ora koutou and welcome to the Southern Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name's Angela Caves and I'm the Digital Events Manager for Digital Boost. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. It's wonderful to have you here if you've joined us on the webinar. And we're also welcoming our audience on our live stream feeds from Facebook, YouTube and LinkedIn. We've had some great sessions. Conference began yesterday and we heard from our collaborating partners, Digital Boost and Connected. We had Amotai and Kuma come and talk to us about support for our Māori and Pacifica businesses. And then we also were joined by New Zealand Trade and Enterprise talking about support for our businesses ready for the export market. Today we've had great chats with the team from Southland, the Chambers and the Economic Development Agency down there. So it was wonderful to have them on earlier today. And this afternoon we're joined by Business South. Benji's going to introduce us to them shortly. But I am going to hand over to Benji, who is my collaborating partner from Connected. Welcome, Benji, and I look forward to getting crack into it today.
Cool. Thanks, Ange. Tēnā koutou katoa. Hello, everyone. My name is Benji Ada, and I'm an Employment Liaison Advisor for Connected, based out of the sunny Ōtepoti, Dunedin. I just have a couple of webinar housekeeping things to touch on before we begin. So throughout the session, you are able to see and hear from our panel of presenters, but we are unable to see or hear you. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments throughout the session, please feel free to drop them in either the comments or the question and answers box, which can be accessed at the bottom of your screen. At the end of the presentation, we will collate and ask all these questions. That's all the housekeeping from me there. So I'd just like to welcome along Mike Collins from Business South, who's going to talk to us today about all the great work they do there. So take it away, Mike.
Kia ora. Thanks for that, Benji. I'll just quickly mihi to you all first. It's great to be here. Ko rohini te moka, ko waikai te awa, ko moana nui a kiwi te moana, ko mirahekui ki te raki te whenua, ko tamara rātou, ko riki, ko ingarangi ke iwi, ko Mike Collins te hopu ko no reira, tina koutou katoa. Kia ora, everybody. Really great to be here today. Looking forward to sharing a bit of our story. So I'll just do a bit of a share screen here and get underway. So yeah, Business South, in terms of who we support as an organisation, we have pretty much just over 1,300 members across Otago and Southland, and that equates to quite a few staff across a number of different businesses. Most of the organisations we support are your SMEs, so smaller organisations. But we do have quite a few larger organisations, but that tends to be not as big as our core group. In terms of our strategy, we've really focused on 4 areas. One is to provide leadership to businesses, which we have here. The next is actually advocacy around speaking for businesses. The third is around enabling businesses, and the fourth is around making connections with businesses. So that's really our core business. A lot of the work we do is around supporting organisations to succeed and to thrive, and with that we have some specific values that we have as an organisation. But overall, as an entity, Business South, we're really there to make every business succeed for the future. When we break that down into a bit more detail, the first 3 kind of objectives for us as an organisation is to really help influence a voice for the region. So that's number 1 there. We did a pulse check to businesses across the region and just asked, what's really important for them from a support perspective. And the biggest message back to us as an organisation was advocacy. So a lot of businesses really want to be heard, whether that's at a local government perspective or at a national level, particularly when there's so much change going on in the business sector. So really a big part of our organisation is providing advocacy for businesses so that they are being heard and that changes are really coming through that has people's opinion included. The second objective is really to help businesses thrive, and that's where we kind of push in all of our kind of training, development opportunities, events to really help support the business community. And within that, we also have a legal service, which I'll talk about shortly. And last but not least, number 3 there is really helping businesses connect. So in the times with COVID, etc., more and more organisations are really wanting to have some face-to-face contact with other businesses and talk about their success stories and also talk about some of their challenges. So a large part of our portfolio and offerings is around helping businesses to connect and create new partnerships. In terms of the Business South Network, we're part of a larger network called Business New Zealand. And we're also partners with, you can see my cursor moving here, the EMA. So we're in this side of the diagram here, we're in partnership with Business Central, so that's our Wellington colleagues, Canterbury here in Christchurch, Business South obviously, and the EMA out of Auckland. So I have a weekly check-in with those regions around progress, what type of business concerns are going down at a national and local level. We share ideas around our regions, around how can we take products and services from different regions and share them across the network, which is really valuable. So it might be that the EMA have developed some really cool content around legal services, and then they pass it on to us and we can pass it on to our members within our organisation. And then alongside that, we have the partnership with Business New Zealand, which is growing day by day in terms of its service offerings. The latest offering here is around sustainability, which is really, really important. And I'll talk about that a bit later on the slide deck. We also have Export New Zealand, manufacturing, Retail New Zealand is another member. But as you can see, this gives us the ability to tap into quite a large network when it comes down to providing support to businesses. An example might be we have a retail committee organisation that we work in partnership with, so we're able to bring in speakers from a national perspective around retail concerns and issues like that. So it helps just broaden our services we can offer back to businesses. In parallel to that, we work in partnership with our local chambers. So Ignite over in Wanaka have got a fantastic membership group over there, an amazing amount of services. Our colleagues in Southland, who you heard from today, do an amazing job in Southland, and obviously our colleagues in Queenstown. And Ruth, I think, is speaking after me or later this afternoon. So we've got a really fantastic network around Otago and Southland. And a lot of people ask, do you guys work together? Do you catch up and all the rest of it and share ideas? And the answer is absolutely. So we're part of what we call a chamber hub, which is part of the New Zealand Chamber of Commerce. So we really like the Business New Zealand network, share ideas, and I think over time we'll probably share lots more services as we move forward, rather than kind of duplicating effort across Otago and Southland. So we've got a really strong partnership with each other, and that'll just grow over time as we move forward. So if I look in terms of the concept of we call speak, in terms of giving the region of voice, what we do have is regular sessions with the Prime Minister. So we'll have every probably 8 weeks, I'll have a meeting with the Prime Minister and the other regions. So that includes Wellington, Auckland, Christchurch and ourselves. And that's where we really talk about what's going on in our region. So we're out talking to a lot of businesses, and we hear a lot of things, and it's great to be able to pass those messages on directly to ministers, not just the Prime Minister, but other portfolios, to try and make a difference. So you've probably seen the papers quite a bit about Business South at the moment, because we're in that time of change around annual plan submissions and all that kind of stuff. So we're doing a lot of work to make sure that the voice of the business is really heard at the right level to try and make difference going forward. You would have heard a lot about the fair pay agreements and the feedback on those, the new insurance schemes and the likes, where there's a lot of additional costs and compliance going into business. So we hear those concerns from businesses, and our job's really to pass on those messages of concern and also what are potential alternative solutions. So we really do those engagements we have, we take really seriously, and that time that we get with those influencers, we try and use those to maximise local business and national business. In terms of enabling businesses, like other chambers, we do a lot around trying to help grow capabilities of he tangata, our people. So we do a lot of work around different training offerings. And what we're hearing from businesses at the moment is that everyone's needs are different, and that's absolutely fair. So what we're trying to work on at the moment is, I guess what you'd call bundling up our services to really fit the needs of what businesses need right now. So we're trying to do a lot more education around this example of the photo in the middle here is Julie Woods, who is doing a new program for us called the Accessibility Game, which is increasing people's awareness around the disability workforce, how to engage with people with disabilities, and actually trying to really open up some conversations in the business community that aren't necessarily being talked about today. So the product suites and the types of offerings of training material, we're trying to just be a bit more diverse than we probably have in the past, and where businesses have come up with suggestions, we're just following those up and make sure we package them up for businesses appropriately. Another offering is the Leadership Academy, which is where we have speakers come in from different professions, and this is a model that's also carried out by Southland as well, Southland Chamber, so we kind of complement each other there. And that's a really great opportunity for people to come along and hear from, you know, leaders in different businesses and hear their story, and how that can really make a difference to people's development. But yeah, the training side of the portfolio and the organisation is quite a big part of our business. And I'll come to a slide shortly where we're going to talk about future services, where we're going to develop in partnership with EMA and e-learning platform to deliver training online as well as face-to-face. Our employment relations service is a really big part of our business as well. So we have a team of legal team of lawyers, and they provide support to businesses around employment law, about it can be things like employment agreements advice. It could be around interpreting some of the new regulations and rules that are coming through, but their calls are really varied, and it's a fantastic service. It's really advocating for the employer, and when there are challenging events that arise from a legal perspective, you can pick up the phone and ring this team, and they'll provide some pretty much free advice up front. And if that advice looks like it's going to turn into obviously a bit of a case, then they'll work through that and provide the details around statements of work and billing, etc. But up front, they're there for advice and support. A lot of businesses, you know, we encourage to use that type of service. In June of this year, we'll be launching a free advice line. So that'll be open for members to be able to call up and get some free advice around legal services, which will be fantastic because, you know, there's a lot of challenging things out there in the employment law, and there's been a really challenging environment for staff and employers with COVID. So we've seen, you know, a lot of interesting queries coming through from a legal perspective. One of the other offerings that's probably not as well known, I guess, when you think about Business South, is we do a lot of partnership contracts. So unlike some regions in the North Island, we provide contracts, and this is an example for trades apprenticeship. So we run a apprenticeship program for youth. It's a fantastic program where we have hosts who provide opportunities for youth to really get into different types of trades. It's not just carpentry. We've got apprentices down at Botanic Gardens. We've got an apprentice in retail, I think. So we've got about 50 apprentices at the moment that are really out there developing their skills. As we know, there's a big skill shortage. So Business South is really quite committed to this arm of the business around helping with pipeline development for youth into employment. So For Trades is a really important program. We're aiming to grow that up to, our aspirations is up to 90 apprentices if we can. That requires us to work with businesses who are keen to take on apprentices and as a host. But we've got quite a big supportive program around pastoral care and support for those apprentices to make sure they've got a really good chance of success. So it's a program we're really proud of, and it's one I can see it's going to grow a lot more. And even just talking to one of the students the other day, one of our colleagues was chatting away, and the feedback from the apprentice was that it changed their life. So the program it makes a huge difference in terms of building people's confidence and showing that they are capable of achieving things. So it's a nice piece of work. Another contract that we work in partnership with is YES, and some of you may be familiar with this one. This is the Young Enterprise Program, and that's really about providing education to entrepreneurs in school. We had about just over 300, I think it was 310 participants of students across Otago last year, which was absolutely fantastic, where youth come in, they work with mentors around business ideas, and they go through a program. It ends up with a big event at the end in terms of those, they have to pitch their ideas to a panel, but not as bad as the Dragon's Den, but that kind of concept. And just seeing the growth of those students coming through that program is absolutely amazing. And some of the products that are produced have gone on to be obviously in the market today. And there's some great stories around the YES program. The other program we run is, which is really important, is My Next Move Youth Futures, which used to be called Education to Employment. And that's a program we run working with schools to really provide opportunities for students to identify careers they might be interested in. And once again, it's about pathways. So giving students at school the opportunity to work with businesses and different professions and different groups to talk to them around different career pathways. So it's like the old careers advisor concept at school, and probably in a bit more of a sophisticated way around how we bring businesses into the schools where they get to meet with the students, ask questions, have conversations, and then have a better understanding of what those careers might look like. So My Next Move is a really important program. And as you can start to feel, this is all about really growing our youth and linking that into employment opportunities going forward for the business sector. Another really important partnership that we have at Business South is our Regional Business Partner Network, which a lot of people know of as RBP. RBP, our team are really based out of Alexandra. We do have staff in Dunedin. They predominantly work in the Queenstown Lakes area across central Otago. And at the moment, their job is we work in partnership with MB. So we're currently rolling out about $28 million worth of funding to support businesses. So business in the tourism, hospitality have struck it hard, as we all know, through COVID. So these advisors are really out working with businesses to make sure that we can support them financially to carry on in a sustainable way. And I think to date, in my report, there's about $6 million of that funding that's been issued to the region already, and it's absolutely amazing. Businesses are extremely grateful for obviously the funding, but it's really, really neat that Business South and the Regional Business Partner team have got quite a good trusted relationship with MB as a trusted partner to really provide those funds to businesses into the region. So RBP is a really important part of the equation. It's really there to make sure that businesses can thrive from a financial perspective. And I can see moving forward that as the ministry start to look at different pots of funding, that maybe there'll be other tranches of funding that come through this network to support businesses into the future. But we'll just watch that space and see what that's going to look like next. Now, one of the last partnerships I want to talk about is Workforce Central Dunedin. So this is really a partnership we have with the Dunedin Hospital Development. That's a massive build project. As well as that, we have, particularly in the Otago region, we've got about 5 or 6 projects over $50 million. So that's, if you think about those large projects and all the workforce that's required for them, it's a massive amount of staff that we need to make these projects come to life. So I'm just going to play a little video clip. I haven't had luck with technology here so far, but we'll see if this will play. And this is Mike Barnes, who's the current Program Director for Workforce Central Dunedin, and he will give you a little explanation for some context around the program of work.
My name's Mike Barnes, the Program Director for the new hospital in Dunedin. This hospital it's a big hospital. It's going to take 8 years to deliver. We have the impacts from COVID, of course, so it may take longer, it may be more frustrating. We're spending about $1.5 billion to build this. So it's a lot of money in New Zealand, and in any country that's a lot of money. But we think we can get maybe $5 or $6 billion worth of value out of this project. That means for every dollar we spend on construction, we are growing some plumbers, carpenters, engineers, floor layers, electricians. And they will earn some money here, they will grow as a professional person, and their children will start looking up to them. So we're hoping to create a cycle of technical skills in the region, not just in this 8 years, but for the next 20 years or 30 years. So getting that foundation of skills in place for the region is very important, and everybody gets to play a part. So we have a healthcare system which is essentially free from New Zealander for New Zealanders. So we're very lucky in the world. A lot of other parts of the world you have to pay for healthcare, but we provide this free. And every person in that process is important. So from, we're here to deliver the hospital for the patients of Dunedin and Southland. There's a team of around 200 people doing the design for that, and we'll have around 1,000 people doing the construction for those 8 years. Each one of those persons is important, their family is important, the children from their family is important, growing young people into tradies, young people into architects, young people into engineers, talking with schools, talking with kohanga reo, all of that's really important. So I think going forward, for me, I'd like to see the region grow. He aha te mea nui, what is the most important thing? It's people, it's people, it's people. So building the hospital is actually it's an opportunity to grow people.
Alrighty, I might just stop sharing there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll just come back into the room. So yeah, the last point I just wanted to, I'm not sure if that video you could actually see the whole play. Did it come through?
We couldn't see the video, but we could hear the
okay.
sound, which was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, the last comment I just want to really make was around the work we're doing around networking. And there's lots of events that we put on across Business South, across the region. And I was saying at the beginning, organisations and businesses and people just want to come out and connect again. Some of the Business After 5 and Business Connect sessions we're running, we're getting better turnouts because people are feeling safe to be able to come out and network again. But it's also a really good buzz in the room. So people are appreciating the opportunity to connect again, which is great. On the kind of big events coming up, we do have a business awards. So the Otago Business Awards will be launched soon, and they kick off on the 18th of November. And also we have the Waitaki Business Awards on the 13th of August, which will be launched in about a week. So those are some big events that are coming up that people might be interested in keeping an eye out for. But I'll just probably pause there and see if there are any questions. And apologies for the technology glitch there. But yeah, happy to field any questions.
Awesome, thanks for that, Mike. No problems out the technology stuff there. As you said, we've all been on Zoom for the last couple of years, and we know how these things work there. So, and it was exciting to hear all the initiatives and things Business South has going there. The 4 trades, yes, my next move. Such awesome things happening out there for our youth. I know I've heard a few stories as well here in Dunedin with success
Awesome.
there, and super exciting to hear about the hospital. Obviously, coming up here in Dunedin, the hospital build. And I know as well there's the Hospital Careers Fair out in Mosgiel this weekend as well. So anyone listening here from Dunedin should pop out to that this Friday and Saturday. It'll be an awesome chance to see what's happening there too. Just got a few questions popped through there, Mike. First is how can businesses register with Business South? What's the best way for them to sign up?
Absolutely. So we've got a website, so just go to businesssouth.org.nz and we'll just Google Business South and we'll pop up there. If you go onto there, there's a section just called, you can just register, so join now and fill out a form and then we'll contact you. On the website, just to point on that, that's our website. We've got a brand new launch of our website, so we've been doing a lot of work over the last month or so to rebrand and redesign our website. So on the 17th of June, we're aiming to launch the new website, and there'll be some simpler forms to follow there. So there'll be a lot more of an online process for registration. But at the moment, you can go up to our existing website and click on Join Now, and we'll get in contact with you and just follow up with the details.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. I have actually, if anyone on there, I've just chucked that link in the chat there, so feel free to sign up there, everyone. Another question there, Mike, is what kind of employment relations advice can we get as a small business?
Yeah, that's a really good one. And a lot of small businesses, they don't necessarily have the HR capability or capacity, and they're really there to do what their business needs to do. So The employment relations team can provide advice around all HR type matters as well as legal matters. They can give advice around employment agreements, how to establish, they can provide templates like IEA agreement templates. They can give advice around matters regarding conflict. So if there are any conflicts from an employer's perspective, you're worried about, potential grievances, or how do I handle some change in my organisation from an employment agreement perspective? Those type of practical HR types of questions that can tend to lead into a legal conversation down the track. They can give proactive advice around how to do it right, so you don't end up in that kind of legal conversation down the track.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Next question I have here is, we are only a small business, so what does advocacy mean for us?
That's a really good question. And I think, to be honest, it's really, really important. So small businesses, it's really hard for them to get a voice. And what we're finding is that if you go to the website you've just been sent that link to, there's a kind of an advocacy page there with different topics, and you can just actually put some feedback into those topics around different things that are important to you. And our role is really to accentuate your voice. We've got some new platforms coming up. One is called Tribes, which is a community platform. We're launching that in June as well. That'll be on the new website. And that's the ability for small businesses, or anybody really, to go into an online community and talk about some specific topics or specific things that are important to you. So for small businesses, I think what we can do is really accentuate your voice. And we're always here on the phone too, so like pick up the phone, call us, have some conversations around things that are concerning you, or your opinion on large national issues or local relevant issues, and we can really make sure that your voice is heard. And we can, nothing better than a collection of voices, so that if you've got some ideas and thoughts around particular things from an advocacy perspective, it's highly likely that other SMEs have got the same types of thoughts. So our job is to make the connections together so that there is a voice and that's being heard. So I wouldn't be concerned about being an SME and not having a voice. I'd probably look at this as an opportunity to get that voice to be heard. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Last question here is there a benefit in being a member of both Business South and other chambers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we provide similar services, but not necessarily the same services. So, and also we tend to tailor our services around what's important for our local communities. So I know that Southland will provide some amazing training opportunities down in Southland that we don't provide in Otago, and likewise in Queenstown and Wanaka. So I think there is benefit. We provide that. I guess the only point of difference in the offerings that Business South has at the moment is that legal service. But at the moment, I mean, we work, as I said earlier, we're working in partnership really closely with the other chambers. So it's really about sharing our service as best we can for members. So whether you're working with a local chamber organisation or Business South, we all talk together. So it's for the best of the business in the end. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks heaps, Mike. I think that's all the questions I have here, but I do just want to say thank you very much for jumping on today. It's very obvious that you've got a wealth of knowledge there, and you know all your stuff super well, and there's some really exciting stuff currently going on and in the pipeline,
Right.
not just for Dunedin, but the whole Otago Southland region here. So thanks very much for jumping on and sharing that knowledge with us there today, Mike.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
Cheers. I'll jump back to you there, Angela.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, if I can just echo what Benji said there, Mike, it's wonderful to have you on with us. And yeah, the Otago business community is very spoilt to have Business South there supporting them. Just to our audience, if you do happen to forget anything at all and you don't know where to start, please head over to Connected, our collaborating partners. They will do what their namesake says and connect you up with the team at Business South or any of the other support agencies we've got. Benji is based in Dunedin, so he can help you there. We've got Claire in Invercargill and Elizabeth in Queenstown who are able to support you and get you to the right place. If you are on a digital transformation journey or thinking about starting one, or if you're working within a business and you feel like you could optimize your digital footprint, please head over to Digital Boost. That's what we're there to support you to do. Our fantastic new tool, Checkable, is available for you to use now. It's a diagnostic tool, so you just pop your website URL into the tool and it will give you a printout, a feed of all different ways that you can optimize your business and from a digital perspective. Let's bring this session to a close. Again, thank you to Mike and the Business South team for joining us. We've got the Queenstown Chamber up next, kicking off at 4 o'clock, and then tomorrow we're hearing from our government agencies. So if you are interested in hearing from any of our supporting government agencies, please head along to Connected's website and you can register for any sessions there. Thanks so much again for joining us this afternoon. It's been wonderful to bring this session to you. Thanks very much, team.